Today on the Chat and Chew Show,
I'm ready.
Attention. All women. You're laughing right there. All women want attention. Now and don't confuse me with the attention from, negative people or people that are trying to cause them harm.
Hey, it's Carla, aka HomeCook K, and today I'm sharing one of my favorite Thanksgiving sides. It's one I make every year, sweet potato soufflé.
Now, well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Chat and Chew Show. My name is Betty.
And I'm Roxanne.
And we are super thrilled you are with us this morning. Yay! I'm saying morning, but you could be watching this at nighttime. Who knows, right?
Or
One
midday.
thing that I love about the Chat and Chew Show is that we want to empower you to do your relationships better. And every relationship can use some improvement. We were just joking before we started recording that, COVID can take a toll on relationships. I know you've been stuck in the house, maybe with your family or loved ones, or maybe you're going back to work, or maybe you're home alone. All of us are in some type of relationship. You could be a mother, an auntie, a teenage girl. Roxy, give me some more. What else could they be?
I guess a nephew. You could be
Okay.
a little nephew.
A little nephew.
Yeah.
Right. We all want to do our relationships better. I've been married for 31 years, and I'm telling you, I am proof that relationships can be successful. But sometimes you run into a snag and you need some help. And so that's why this show was created, to give you tools and tips to make your relationships better. We got a big show coming up. Roxanne and I are so thrilled to have this guest. This is going to be so fun. I'm excited. So after the break, we're going to talk to our very special guest.
The holiday season can be magical and filled with so much joy for some, yet be a reminder of loss or trigger a deep sense of loneliness for others. In this episode, we're joined by Bridgette, a mentor to young women and founder of Stepping Stone Recruiting, LLC. Bridgette is a Baltimore, Maryland native who grew up with a wonderful mother and insightful grandmother, yet she found in adulthood that she was missing the voice of an auntie, someone who was not emotionally connected to her life, but could share some of life's most important lessons on navigating the world as a woman. Bridgette decided to be what she didn't have growing up, turning her voice of reason into a mentoring program called Just Between Sisters. Just Between Sisters is designed for women between the ages of 8 and 40 and offers a safe place to ask the questions they're afraid to ask mom or grandma. It focuses on relationships, decision-making, and money management. Bridgette's life goal is to touch 1 million young women's lives by sharing her message, and our chat tribe is glad to be included in that number. Get ready to take notes on what to do when you're feeling lonely.
All right. Hello, everybody. Again, I said we got a special guest. We're excited to have you, Bridgette.
Woo!
How you doing, Bridgette?
I'm amazing. And I'm even more overjoyed to come back and talk to you guys. I feel so honored that you guys want to talk to me. So I hope to drop a lot of interesting nuggets and learn some stuff too.
Yeah. Well, some of you, I don't know if you watch our past episodes, but we did, before COVID, a live event. It was our first one, and Bridgette was our special guest. And man, I'm telling you, our heads were like this, right, Roxy?
Mm-hmm. Right. I think we had to pause because I know I did. I couldn't even think of interview questions because I wanted to take notes, and we're just sitting there. I'm like, wait, can I take notes first?
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Man, it was so good. I remember a couple people in the audience, when you would say things, just the reaction of people. It was just amazing. So amazing.
And it created some follow-up too, because one of the young ladies from the show, she actually called me and we met for dinner, and she was like, I just really need you to expound on some of the things. She was just a young woman coming out of, I don't know if you remember, she was a beautiful woman coming out of a tough divorce, and she really was anxious to get back out there and do it.
Yeah.
I feel like one of my gifts is to lovingly push and cheer you on to that next scary thing. And singlehood, as we talk about it, singlehood and getting back out there and meeting new people and being vulnerable is super scary.
Yeah.
But I promise it's not supposed to be, and it doesn't have to be. It's supposed to be really fun.
Yeah.
So
We have some questions for Bridget, but before we move on, just so you know, you're like, well, I'm not single, or I'm in a committed relationship. So I don't want you to turn this off, because this show can also help you in your relationships where with dating is concerned, or rekindling something, or maybe a single person who is struggling or whatever, and you want to be there as a support. So don't turn us off if you're not single. So today we really want to talk about this whole idea of being single during the holidays. That's a big one. So how the holidays are coming up. We just went through Halloween. We got Veterans Day. We got Thanksgiving. And then Christmas, and then New Year's Eve, and then on top of all of that, we got COVID. So that's why we wanted to talk to Bridget today about how do we manage and navigate through this season. Can I say this though, Bridget? A lot of times people look at singleness as if it's a curse.
Yes, more like a prison sentence.
Yeah.
So people see singlehood as I'm in jail, instead of, so I see a lot of things like from a recruiting standpoint, because that's kind of what I do. And so I want to help single women to reframe their brain, or retrain their brain to think singlehood is like a way station. It is the place that you go before you go to your next thing. It's almost like it's your internship. It's almost like you're the understudy, or this is the place where you go to get trained for your next big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you feel when you want to bypass that? If you were going to do this great job, or you're going to do this great thing that they're asking you to do, and they put you in training, and you say, don't give me no training, just throw me in there. How does that make you feel? And then when you get there and there's all these things you don't know how to do, so you ultimately fail because you haven't taken time to train. And being a single woman, instead of looking at it as a prison sentence, here's my training.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my training to get ready. And this is a great, fun, and informative training, because no matter what relationship you're going to, whether it's a relationship with a man, if a man or a woman, or relationship with your mother or your boss or anything, you need to, one of the big reasons why we fail is because we lack training.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are single and you start to learn, and I'll go into details what the training is like when you're single and what you should be learning for. Imagine when you get trained, when it's time to go in, you're ready.
Yeah.
And so women, single, when you're suddenly single, or you start off single, or you decide to be single, this is your amazing time to get all that training poured into you.
Yeah.
I want to speak to the women for a second who say, I don't need a man. I don't need a relationship. And I actually don't agree with that. I'm going to tell you, instead of saying I don't need a man, I'm going to tell you something that all women specifically, but people in generally want. You know what all women want, whatever they are on a continual relationship, you know what they want? Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Attention. All women. You're laughing, Roxanne. All women want attention. Now and don't confuse me with the attention from, negative people or people that are trying to cause them harm. When women dress up beautifully, they want somebody to notice, to get some attention. When you're out and you're at a party and you want to meet somebody, you want some attention. You want to matter. You want somebody to say, hey, I'm checking you out. And maybe that's all you want, is somebody to check you out. But I have not met one woman who does not want, and I'm going to let you talk, Roxanne, for a second, but I have not met a woman who doesn't want good old-fashioned attention, even if the guy doesn't say a word and he just looks. Women, we want it.
Mm-hmm.
We all the way up to, you are the best thing since sliced bread. You know what I'm saying? And so to my women who say they don't need a man, what women are really saying is they don't want the drama. But do they want a man to say, "Ooh, girl, when you walk in the room, everything stops."
Wow.
Every woman wants that.
Yeah.
You want a man to you want a man to have your six. Do you know what it means when you say I got your six? That means you want, so it's a military term. I'm sorry, my husband's military. So when somebody says I got your six, when I say Betty, I got your six, that means I got your back. And all women, even if they say they don't want a man, they do want that. You want somebody to have their back. And see, truly somebody that has your back, you ain't got to look back there. See, that's the thing that women do want.
So the holidays are coming up, like we said a few minutes ago. So I'm single. I'm not single, but let's just say our listeners and Roxanne is single, and they're thinking, you know, what can I do to I don't want to say to get through the holidays. I'm on this thing right now where singleness is not a prison. But you know what I mean? Like
but you want to move past, you want to, not so much that you want to get through it, but you want to be okay while you in it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. How do you, I'm understanding, just to reframe what I believe your question is, how do you move through the holidays successfully? Is that what you're trying to ask?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Without this feeling that I'm not enough, I'm missing something, I should be here, that kind of thing. Yeah. I should have a family, I should have kids, all of that, or whatever.
Right. And so that's a total different subject, and it's going to be hard for women not to feel that. But in addition to that, to move past that, so here's three, and I work in threes.
Good.
So here are three things that you're going to need, that I believe you need to move through the holidays.
Now, a delicious word. Let's chew.
Hey, it's Carla, aka Home Cook K, and today I'm sharing one of my favorite Thanksgiving sides. It's one I make every year, sweet potato soufflé. I altered it a bit this year and made it for friends, which received rave reviews. First, I baked 6 to 7 sweet potatoes. I actually used garnet yams at 425 degrees for 50 minutes. Once baked, I allow them to cool for at least 30 minutes. Next, I peel the skin off the potatoes and mash them using a food processor. I place the mashed sweet potatoes in a large bowl and add 1 cup of sugar, 3 beaten eggs, 8 tablespoons of melted butter, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, half a cup of milk, and half a teaspoon of salt. I combine all the ingredients and then add it to a lightly greased 2-liter baking dish. I place the baking dish into a preheated oven at 400 degrees for at least 25 minutes. Once it's done, I allow it to cool for about 15 minutes so it can set. When cooled, you have a delicious souffle that provides an alternative to the traditional candy yams. When serving it at Thanksgiving, I typically provide a nut-free version as well as one with a nut topping. To make a nut topping, before placing it in the oven to bake, combine 1 cup of packed light brown sugar, half a cup of self-rising cake flour, and 1 cup of chopped pecans. Crumble it on top and bake for the same amount of time, the 25 minutes. I hope you enjoy.
And they're the 3 A's. And I'm going to keep it real simple, and I'm going to break it down a little bit. So ladies, this is an opportunity for you to write some stuff down. So the 3 A's, I'm going to name them for you. They're acknowledgement, acceptance, and action. So these are the 3 A's that you need. Acknowledgement. So let's start with acknowledgement. So oftentimes women say the big L, they're lonely during this holiday season, especially if you're single. If you're single and you see yourself without a significant other, you feel lonely. But not all women are feeling that, or they believe that they're lonely, but they don't really know. Because you could be lonely, bored, or just want some attention. And guess what? All 3 of those things feel the same. Mm-hmm. Loneliness feels like boredom to women.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't have anything to do, when nobody's checking for me, sometimes I'm not lonely. I'm just bored. I got nothing.
Right.
But when you have nothing, when people have nothing and they're not doing anything, it can feel, because loneliness is just another word for nobody wants me. That's all loneliness is. When you are feeling, when you strip back the onion of loneliness, it's really, I'm lonely. What you're really saying, what single women often are saying is nobody wants me. And that's really not true.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you don't have a relationship doesn't mean no one wants you. And so sometimes you could be just bored. I don't have work. I'm working from home. I don't have any hobbies. I cut all my girlfriends off. You know, as I talked about I don't have any junk boyfriends. You know, I got nothing. You know, I'm sick of YouTube. I've seen all the movies. I got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so people interchange bored with loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the third thing that feels like bored and loneliness is that we talked about earlier, is attention. Sometimes you want somebody to check on you.
Right.
Sometimes you want somebody to pick up the phone and say, girl, I ain't talked to you in 9 weeks. What's going on? What's new? What's good? What's up?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I say acknowledgement, is acknowledging which one of those things are you really? Are you really lonely?
Mhm.
Is it that you really feel like nobody wants you, and address and really naming that? So acknowledgement is naming it.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, are you just bored? Do you
Mhm.
not have any hobbies?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you not journal? Do you not have something that makes you feel good to move through the time that interests you? And so that's what boredom is. I don't have anything that interests me to help the time move along. That's what boredom is. I have nothing that creates interest, that is exciting for me, or that I want to pay attention to. That's what boredom is. And then the last thing is, do I just need some attention? Do I just need somebody to say, you matter,
Mm-hmm.
or what you doing, or come do this thing with me, you know? And so are you one of those things?
Mm.
And so
So that's good. So the first thing you're asking people to do then is to acknowledge what it is that they're feeling, try to put a title to it.
try to put a name to it.
Yeah. And I think when you name it, it helps you move through it differently, because now I know what it is. Okay. That's what I'm feeling. I'm bored. So let me start needle pointing again.
Or whatever it is, because you know boredom looks different on other people, and so and boredom gives away to a lot of some things that are not so great. Boredom causes you to eat more.
Oh yeah.
It does.
Yeah,
You know, boredom causes you to, you know, start inappropriate conversations because you're bored, you know, or pick fights. If I'm bored, I might go to my husband and pick a fight about why he can't clean the hair out of the bathroom, you know, because I'm bored.
Right. That's good. Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm saying? And also, bored also makes you think negatively too.
Yeah.
I'm not enough. I'm not this, I'm not that, because you're bored. And you want to create drama. Let me just call it that.
Yeah.
Because drama is the opposite of boredom.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And sometimes that's what we as women do. We create drama so we're not bored. I mean, our Instagram beauties spend a lot of time creating drama to beat boredom, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I would love
so
to talk to them.
It's making me think how this is what I believe about every human being, is that we are all created for something. And I think our job is to find out what that something is that we were created for. And I think everybody needs something to be working on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something that keeps
a
you
beacon.
up at night, something that you have a purpose. And I think, like you were saying, it's not going to solve every problem that you have in your life. But man, I'm telling you, when you have a drive to want to be able to do something, you know, that you create, that you love. I mean, it could be something like simple as painting, or I mean, serious like needlepoint, anything that you're passionate about. It just puts you in a whole different plane. And again, if you are a person who is not in a relationship, you're single, you got so much time that you can focus your energy, time, money, creativity, all of that in, you know, even during the holiday season. You know, like I'm just thinking again about, you know, what you're saying about people being bored. I think that's huge because I think we mix up, you know, I'm lonely as opposed to I'm being bored. I think that's huge. And
COVID makes you bored.
Yeah.
COVID definitely makes people bored.
Yeah.
Because there's only but so much YouTube you can watch. There's only but so much women. There's only but so much sex you can have. There's only but so many things. And being out in the world.
Wait a minute, did you say there's only so much sex?
Okay, maybe I'm talking about me. But but it's true. It's only so much food you can eat. There's so much reading you can do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this is why being out and being with people solves some of your boredom. And this is why COVID has been so dangerous for us feeling like, and when you get bored, sometimes you do go in. And that's when that loneliness bug, and I call it a bug, when the loneliness bug can kind of creep up. You know, loneliness and boredom and attention can feel like, do I have the COVID? Do I have the flu? Or do I have a cold? Do you know what I'm saying? And they all kind of feel similar, right? I mean, you can attest to that. They kind of feel similar, but there is a vast difference in the confines of this conversation. I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but we can have a whole conversation around what is the difference between the three and how you can do it. But if you would, I want to go on to the next one, which is acceptance. So acceptance is really about, once you name it, then you claim that this is what it is, because you cannot change what you don't acknowledge. And you have to say, I am bored. In order to do something about it, you can't be ambiguous and say something's wrong, because you won't solve that. Right. You can't solve the something's wrong, or I don't feel right, or something's off. None of that will help you. So that's what I mean when I say acceptance. Let me accept that I need somebody to check on me. Let me accept that so I can do something about it.
Yeah.
Let me accept that maybe I am just a little bit bored. And let me deal with it. Let me do something about it. So, ladies, if you'll indulge me for 45 seconds, I want you to close your eyes. And this is how we get to acceptance. And I want you to close your eyes. And this is like a 45-second breathing exercise. And I want you to say this. I want you to breathe. And after you breathe in and breathe out and say, right now I feel, and then say whatever you feel in your head. Are you feeling bored? Are you feeling lonely? Or are you feeling like you need attention? And just say it. Nobody even has to hear it, whatever it is in your head. And then again, I want you to breathe in and breathe out and say, today I want attention. Today I want to learn how to needlepoint. Whatever it is, you don't even have to say it out loud. And then lastly, I want you to breathe in and breathe out and say, today I feel okay that I'm lonely, that I'm bored, that I want attention. And whichever one those are. And now open your eyes. And I'm hoping that you feel a tiny bit more in a place of clearing. Because you're going to have to think about it a little more. And I welcome comments, questions. And Roxanne, I'm interested in hearing, how did that play in your head? You don't have to tell me what you felt, but how did that play in your head when you were willing to say that in your head?
So I liked it because I have a tendency to, like, let's say if I'm feeling lonely, right? I have a tendency to then judge the loneliness, the fact that I'm feeling lonely. So I like the acceptance, that the step is acceptance, because it's not like judging that feeling and going further down into this rabbit hole of how dark and lonely and and horrible life is, as opposed to it's just like, okay, that's just how I feel. It makes it less of a blow, if you will, because it's just like, it is what it is.
Right. You're so amazing. I love hearing what you have to say about things. You have to. I'm so glad that you're doing this forum because women totally need to hear what you have to say. So thank you so much. And I want to hear, Betty, how did that play? You're in a different seat. So how did that play for you in your head?
You know, honestly, it was hard for me to identify what I'm feeling. I'm not a feeling person. So I would have to really spend some time, you know, with myself and really trying to analyze it. But I didn't, I didn't
Right.
really.
And maybe you need to sit with one of those things a little longer than we did.
Yeah.
And I encourage people to say, right now I feel, and just sit with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thinking women, because we all have that aspect, and women, we can tend to be in our head and thinking a lot, and to try to move the thoughts into feelings, because thoughts give away to feelings, and feelings give away to action.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes we stay with thoughts and don't move.
Right.
And so taking a little bit more time allows you to give yourself permission to move to a feeling. And like Roxanne says, it's okay to feel whatever.
Right.
Because we don't give ourselves permission to feel like I want attention. Because sometimes we see wanting attention as a bad thing. It's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we all want it.
Yeah.
Can we agree, ladies? Can we touch and agree virtually that we all want attention at some time during our continuum?
Yes. I think it's like the people who want to be invited to a party even though they don't want to go. Like, you just want to know that you would have been invited, and you'll say no. But if you weren't invited, you're like, wait a minute, I wasn't on the list.
Now that's a problem. What's wrong with me?
Right.
Right. Which moves us to the third point, is what everybody wants to know, and that's action. So now that you've named it and you've claimed it, now we want action. This is the part that everybody kind of wants to skip over to. Now that I know what it is, I feel like I'm lonely, or I feel like I need some attention. What am I going to do about it? And so it's actually tailor-made. And so I'm going to name a couple of things that are very simple. You probably already know that you can do it, but it's really going to depend on what you're feeling. So one of the things that you can do that really that people don't want to do with feeling like they want attention is tell people, hey, I want some attention. I learned this in my 6th year of marriage. Just quickly, my husband was doing all these things and he wasn't really paying attention to me. And I was like picking these arguments with him just to get some attention. And he was like, what is wrong with you? And he said, you're acting like a 2-year-old that just wants somebody to pay attention to you. And I said, bing, that's what I want. And he said, well, why didn't you just say you want me to pay attention to you? Why did you have to do all of this? Wow. If you would have simply just said, give me some attention, I would have stopped and rubbed your feet. I would have stopped and bought you a glass of wine. I would have stopped and did something, said I love you. Why didn't you just tell me? And so I know it seems so simple, but ladies, if you want some attention, it is not giving answers to the test by simply telling somebody.
So if you're single though, and you don't have someone, who are you telling?
You could tell whoever because single people don't always want attention from men. They could really just want attention from their sisters or their mama or their children. Attention, when you want attention when you're single, it's not just you want a man. Because relationships aren't just with men, and attention and something and meaning that you matter. You don't want to just matter to a man. You also want to matter to your friends.
So get real practical and tell me exactly what, if I was single, what would I say? I'm going to call my friend. I'm going to say, hey girl, I need some attention. What am I going to say?
So I would say something similar to this. I would say, hey Betty, what's going on? I haven't talked to you in a long time and I miss talking to you.
Okay.
Because you know what it does when I talk to you, it makes me feel less. whatever it makes you
Okay,
feel.
that's good.
It makes me feel this. And then, how do you feel when I say I miss talking to you? If I say, Betty, I miss talking to you, how do you feel?
I feel good about that.
And
I
what do
feel
you
like
want to do?
I'm gonna talk to you.
Which gives me what?
What you need.
Exactly. It is really, and I know that it seems like I'm making it elementary, but
No,
it
it's
really
good.
is that simple. And you really have actually said, pay me some attention to somebody. And actually, guess what you're also doing that you may not even know? I'm actually giving you some attention. And you may not have even known, or you could have known that you needed it too. I have talked to many of my girlfriends to say, girl, I was just going through something. And then when you called me, you changed it for me.
Yeah.
That could have been she was lonely. That could have been she needed attention, or that could have meant she was bored.
It's good.
And she went. So it is that simple, ladies. Just call somebody up. And here's another tip. You know, a lot of ladies don't have hobbies.
Yeah.
They really don't.
Yeah.
And the value, do you know how much value you have? I mean, I have lots of hobbies because it's just, I've learned throughout the years that it is so wonderful, and it feeds me to have a hobby. But I ask women all the time, I talk to women every single day. And you know how many women, I mean, I talk to at least, I would say if I talk to 10 women, 6 of them won't have a hobby at all. Other than maybe watching TV, excuse me, or something like that. So I would encourage, this is another simple thing to do. Get a hobby. And so a hobby doesn't have to be what I do. And, you know, I craft, I sew, you know, I volunteer. Those are all my hobbies. You don't have to have those. I would encourage women to ask themselves this question, because we as women, we all want to do it. What problem do you want to solve? That's a good way to start thinking about a hobby, because everything we do in the world doesn't have to be for coins. I ain't taking away y'all women that need your coins.
Everything's about the coins.
but Roxanne, if I ask you, what problem do you want to solve? Do you have an answer for that? And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I say, what problem do you want to solve?
I actually do. Like, so the problem I want to solve is like people seeing each other on an equal playing field. That we all need each other. So yeah.
Exactly. That's so cool. And so when you peel back the layers of needing each other, how would you solve that problem? And we don't have to go into the weeds, but this is how you begin to realize what could be a hobby of yours. Because just about anything that somebody else may get paid for, somebody else is willing to do it as a hobby, and vice versa. Me talking to women and helping women move from one place in their life to another it started off as a hobby. I promise you it did. It started off as a hobby. So I encourage women, take the time during this time and think about what problem you want to solve, and ask yourself that. And then here's the most basic thing you can do with that: write it down. There's an amazing thing that happens when we write stuff down. It gets into our being and it starts action. Have you ever noticed that? When you write it down, it begins the process of action. Now, it might take you 45 steps to get to your finish line, but so when you are in that space of boredom and you need action about how do you get out of that boredom, attention, or loneliness, you need something to do to fill in that space.
Can I add to that too?
Please.
You know, as adults, maybe as a kid you love to paint, and then someone looked at your paint and said that's ugly, or you're not a good painter. Like for me, I love to sing. Especially when I was a kid, I would wake up singing, and I just can remember, you know, my family saying, you know, stop that noise, you can't sing, that kind of thing. As a kid, that gets in your head. So as an adult, you're like, well, I can't do that even though I want to do it. So to me, this conversation is letting people off the hook. If you paint it and someone said your painting is ugly, but you love painting, paint anyway, you know?
Anyway, yep.
You made a dress and it was ugly, And that, do it anyway. Don't let what happened in your childhood or what someone said about your hobby deter you from being able to do it.
Right. And sometimes people believe it. And if you believe that your painting is ugly, then do something about it. If somebody told you that, hey, if your mama told you your painting is ugly and you for whatever the reason you believe it, this is an opportunity for you to do something about it. Because that doesn't have to be the truth forever. We know that truths change, right? And so if the painting is ugly, we got a million ways where your painting can turn from ugly to beautiful in your eyes and everybody else. Then this is what you can go do. If singing is something that you're like, girl, you can't sing, guess what? You can go learn. You gotta do that. Not everybody has this beautiful Luther Vandross voice. There are many people out there who sing well, but they were taught to sing, and there's absolutely nothing to do. I'm a firm believer in teaching yourself. We have so much knowledge out there to teach you literally how to do anything.
Oh my.
And this is a great time. Yes. I'm teaching myself sign language. This is a new thing I'm teaching myself. And I'm so grateful to be able to learn how to do stuff or learn how to do skills and everything that you didn't know before. So that's another thing that people can do. Change what's not so great about you.
Yeah. I just want to stand up and run around the room and shout and dance because I love this, because I think sometimes, like you were saying, if you're bored or lonely or whatever, we think that that's our lot. And like, dang on it, you can do something about it, do something, like, I love this. Get a hobby, do something. Yeah.
Do something. And so the other thing I want to speak to, because there are women out there to say, I don't want a hobby. I don't know what I am feeling. And this is the other thing that women don't do, that this is a great time to do this. And I want to challenge women to do it, but it's going to be very difficult for women to do it because it brings out an enormous amount of vulnerability. And this is something that I did a year ago. I went to the women that I trust, and these women, I call them my board of directors. I asked them to tell me very honestly 3 things: what they like about me, or what they love about me, what do they want me to change, and what's one thing that I should stop doing.
Oh my.
And so I know, ladies, it'll create an enormous amount of vulnerability because you're not going to like what your board of directors, but I challenge you to breathe through it, take it in, and it is a growth moment for you. And it was an amazing growth moment for me, such a growth moment for me. And I encourage you women to do that. The other side, it's going to be hard, and you're not going to like it, and you're going to believe people are wrong, and it is just going to, it's going to be like pouring salt on an open wound. But I promise you, it will crust over. Like my grandmother used to say, the wound is going to crust over, and the crust is protection. So when you get on that other side, you're going to be protected, and you will come out victorious. I promise you. And so
this is like blowing my mind. This whole show is just blowing my mind. But this show is about, giving people tips on how to do their relationships better. And I'm just thinking, if I was in that chair, if I was you, and they said, people I trust said something to me, I probably would have just broke down crying, or, oh man, that just seems so strong.
Oh, it was tough. It was tough. It was raw. It was tough. It was really tough. And I'm still working through it.
We're going to be coming to a close here soon, but I wanted to see if this may be a little bit off topic, if you can give some tips for singles who are looking to date during COVID.
Yes. And so, that dating we live in the era of dating is electronic 80% of it.
Okay.
When I talk to young women that are between the ages of 18 and 30, they find their relationships online. It's not that they go bump into them at the grocery store, they meet them in the club, and they meet everybody online.
Mm-hmm.
And so though I don't know if it's good or bad meeting online, I guess it's a little bit of both, but I would encourage you to create a checklist for dating online. And everybody's checklist is going to be a little bit different. Roxanne, yours might be different from mine, and Betty and all of that. But I would, before I even get online and start dating, I would create a checklist. And you should do this anyway, whether you're in person. And the checklist should be the must-haves, the must-nots, and the like-to-haves. And just whatever that list is.
Mm-hmm.
And every time as you're talking, somebody hits one of these, check it off. And when you get finished, one conversation, look at your notes. Because this is what we don't do. When we are preparing presentations or preparing for a meeting or something, do we not look at our notes?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're preparing in relationships, why don't we look at our notes? You know what I'm saying? Why don't we, before we go on an online date, why don't we look at our notes from the previous conversation? Because what this tells us, because what we want people, when you're online, it's easy to be compatible, right? Because it's easier because you don't have, because people can be different online. They can hide behind, written word and all of that. And I'll talk a little bit about written word during this time. But one big tip I would give is create your checklist and keep it a living document. And by that, I mean, add to it, take off of it, change it. It's yours. So create a living document and checklist, because we don't do that. Because the minute somebody's tall, dark, and handsome, that's it. I want them.
Right.
I want them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But, and I did this when I got married. I had a checklist, and on my nice to have, I wanted my man to be able to sing. And I was so delighted when I was able to check that box off.
Nice.
Yeah. And I didn't even know that he fit my must-haves until I went back and looked at my checklist, because I thought he didn't.
Wow. Okay.
I really didn't think he did till I went back and I checked my notes. So that's one thing. Another thing is, while we're in this COVID time, give people a break. By that, I mean, we can be so judgy and so regimented and so, you got to be this, or you got to act this way. Give people a break. You know what I'm saying? So another word for it is grant people some grace.
Yeah.
If I didn't put my makeup on when I came to meet you online and we've been talking, don't throw me out with the bathwater.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Give me some grace.
Yeah.
And one of the third tips I would have is, don't be afraid to ask more questions. Sometimes we don't want to know the answer. We ask, do you have a baby mama? And they say yes, but you don't want to ask, are you still sleeping with her? You don't want to ask that. You don't want to ask. Some of us don't want to ask it because we don't want to know. And I know I'm being silly because we don't want to know. But I would say, do use this time and this form of dating to give yourself permission to ask the third, fourth, and fifth layer question.
Okay.
Even when you don't want to know what the answer is, or if you sleeping with her, what's your real relationship, or and alongside of that, sometimes we forget the obvious questions. Do you know how many women don't ask men, are they interested in a relationship? Do you know how many women never even ask the man? Are they even, you know what I'm saying? Are you even interested in a relationship? And then be okay. Here's what we do. And I know we're running out of time. When a man says, I don't want a relationship, you know what sometimes women do? try to convince them why they want one instead of accepting that they don't.
Well, or I'm going to be the one that changes his mind.
I'm going to be your deal breaker.
Yeah.
Instead of accepting and putting him in the category of a junk boyfriend, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope that we have time for me to share my analogy on what women really are. And if we have time, if not, I can save it for another time. But I would really want to share it.
Save it because we're getting down to the wire here. But
okay, so those are some of my basic tips. I hope they've been helpful.
Oh my gosh, this is
definitely
amazing. This is amazing. Bridgette, we're gonna put up where everybody can follow you, but do you mind just telling us if you have any socials, your website, the name of your company?
Yeah, so where I can be reached now, if you want to send me an email, it's justbetweensisters@gmail.com. I'm sorry, I'm going to say that again. Justbetweensisters 2007, because that's when I gave birth to Just Between Sisters, @gmail.com. If you want to send me an email, I would love to talk to you just about you. Because we don't get to do that. In this forum, we kind of can be a little bit general. But if you want to have a conversation just about your specific situation and you're interested in what I have to say about it or how I feel about it, Just Between Sisters with an S on the end, 2007@gmail.com. That's where you can meet me. And I promise you, I won't talk about anybody else but you.
Oh, sure. Well, again, just thank you so much for being here. This was great. I definitely, I'm going to go back and watch this myself again. But yeah, so if you guys are not already following us, you can follow us on Instagram at Chat and Chew Show. And then you also can subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, just click the subscribe button and the little bell to get notifications for our new episodes. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time.
Yep. Thanks. Bye.
This show was brought to you by the Chat and Chew Company. Music by Elwood Jones. Lyrics by Roxanne. Bring a Chat and Chew live event to your organization. Contact us at chatandchewshow@gmail.com.